This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, we are ready to go. Lock it in. Let's go. You got your fantasy football questions. Send them in right now. Andy Behrens is ready to go. You got some trade options, waiver wire options. We got the trading deadline in the NFL, which is going to affect some things going on. Rumors are already flying around. So send them in on the YouTube chat board if you're watching. Also on the Welt and Rayom text line at 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. That's the easiest way for me to find those fantasy questions. And also on Twitter at Big O Show is another way that you can do it there. Good afternoon, sir. Hope you had Dolphin receivers and a quarterback in your win.
Yeah, I had a lot of teams where, it's just such an explosive fantasy week. We had so many guys go over 30 points, so many guys go over. I think there were something like 14, maybe 15 players who scored more than like 25 fantasy points in sort of standard Yahoo settings. So like you could have set a great lineup and still lost. I mean, I'm in a DFS contest like within the company within Yahoo where like I had Hurts going, I had AJ Brown going, I had Kenneth Walker going, I had Pollard, I had like some other guy who scored 25 and I'm like 11th in the contest. Like you could set some fierce lineups and still suffer in week 8. It was fun. Like it was fun. We finally had a week where everybody sort of blew up.
Where are you at with Tua now? Is he flat out an elite fantasy stud right now? Because he had 24 days off, so he was a little off last week. Well, now he got his practice. Just like I was telling people, he had the entire offseason. He's throwing with his guys on his own, practicing in mini camps. Then here comes training camp. Here comes the preseason. Regular season starts. Stella found his groove. The guy was ready to go. He was lighting up the world. Then he goes out for those 2.5 games. He misses 24 days in the process, so he's out of a groove. But what happens? He's now got his second week of practice. He's got a game under his belt, and yesterday he was grooving. And so it just looks like he is one of the elite fantasy QBs right now, something that most people would have never labeled him at the beginning of the year. So how do you look at him right now?
I will say a lot of people came into the year saying that Tua can definitely be a QB1. Calling him an elite fantasy QB puts him in the company of Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, all these dual threat guys, right? And it's a different conversation from real life quarterback to being an elite fantasy quarterback.
Right.
Is he right there with Mahomes? Is he right there with Lamar Jackson? He's really close. He's obviously not like a dual threat player at the level of those guys. His receiving situation is as good as it gets in the NFL. He just crushed a very friendly matchup. I think we have firmly established that when Tua is healthy and you put a great matchup in front of him, he can be the overall QB1 in any week. He's done it now a couple times. He did it against the Ravens when the Ravens, were at their absolute worst in the secondary. And of course he did it against Detroit just now. Just an abysmal defense that I think is giving up now 8.5 yards per pass attempt. So like he's crushing the layup matchups. And I think that's probably enough before we go ahead and put him in the company of Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, who's just on an absolute tear. He's like in that next tier. I mean, you're never benching him, right? You're never benching a healthy.
No, but he's a starter now. He's definitely a top 10 fantasy quarterback right now.
Oh, there's no question about that. I suppose we're differing on the definition of elite here. If you're simply talking about a guy that is a must start when healthy, yes, he's absolutely in that club, and he's been in that club probably since the Ravens game. Like that's about all I needed to see.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just it's not just a Waddle and a Tyreek thing. It's this guy is the straw that stirs the drink, because the other guys are they're productive when even the other guys play, but they're not as productive when Tua plays. When Tua plays, it's just an absolutely different offense. All right, so you're a fantasy player and you've got Chubb and Hunt. Talk to us about your strategy right now on how you're handling this, because is Chubb staying? Is the other guy staying? Is one of them, is Hunt getting traded? Is Chubb getting traded? As a fantasy player, I don't know where they're going to land. I don't know what's going to end up happening. So how do you look at that? Because obviously Chubb is a freaking stud.
Yeah, I might be on an island here. I think Nick Chubb is the best running back in football. I think with the ball in his hands, there's no more dangerous ball carrier. And if you want to just say that he's in a tier with the other top guys, that's fine. But I think Nick Chubb is as good as it gets. You want to talk about yards after contact. You want to talk about yards before contact. You want to talk about somebody who can hit a home run on absolutely any carry. That is Nick Chubb. Like, he is in a club with, I don't know, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, almost no one else. I think Nick Chubb is one of the best backs that we have seen in this era. I can't, like, what is the price tag for a player like that? I have no idea, but I think Kareem Hunt is more movable. I think if you are somebody who's invested in Kareem Hunt, you are desperately wanting a trade. The dream scenario would probably be Buffalo, but Devin Singletary has just dodged every bullet to this point, and I guess I suppose that probably won't happen. Beyond that, I mean, the Rams would be a nice spot. It's not a great offensive line by any means, and that's going to hold anyone back, but it is wide open right now. They gave undrafted rookie Ronnie Rivers an audition this past week. He didn't look like anything special. We've already hit the point in the season when the Rams decide they need to move on from Darrell Henderson. This is like the third year in a row that's happened. So I think the Rams are probably of all the teams that should be interested in dealing for a running back. They offer the greatest opportunity. You hear a little bit of noise with Philadelphia. I'm not even sure why Philadelphia would do that. They've just been acquiring assets, right? And they've got picks to deal. Nick Chubb, if he goes anywhere, I mean, Nick Chubb is an absolute superstar. He's better than, wherever Nick Chubb lands, he's the best running back on the team, in my opinion.
This is kind of funny. Is it time to trade Jonathan Taylor? Mofo is killing me.
The problem with that is that first of all, he picked up or aggravated the ankle injury this past week. You're not selling high, which is ideally what you would do. It is a super messy bye week this week. We got 6 teams on bye. They're not all great teams, but we do have 6 teams on bye. And that is that is certainly an issue. So there might be some people that are interested in him. I don't know, like, you're not timing it well if you trade him right now. I think you should at least wait for a big game if you want to do it. Your fantasy trade deadline is probably not for a handful of weeks. Usually it's like late November. So this is not the ideal moment to do it. I think anybody who talks to you about a trade for Jonathan Taylor is probably looking for a bargain.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to be almost high to overpay for Jonathan Taylor right now, as it is. Not selling on a high. You got to be high.
And the waiver wire absolutely every week this year has provided running backs too, is the other thing, right? Like, there's a bunch of guys out there right now. Like, I don't know if the Rams are going to trade for somebody, but Kyron Williams is out there right now. He probably returns really soon again to potentially a ripe situation. Kenyon Drake just popped again with Gus Edwards going down with the hamstring issue. So, like, there's always been waiver options this season at running back.
Should I sell high on Eckler? I have Aaron Jones, Swift, Sanders, and Gus Edwards on my team also. Kind of answered his own question, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you can investigate it for sure. Generally, the way that I like to do things like that is just sort of toss it out there to the league that I'm loaded at running back and I'm willing to deal. I don't necessarily put specific players on the trade block. I let other managers come to me with. They're gonna come to you with Eckler. He's obviously a star. I think he's in a great situation. Like, as long as Eckler stays healthy, he's going to be absolutely dynamite for the season. But it doesn't mean that you can't deal him. And if you have a glaring need somewhere, right, like your receiver position is a disaster and you're just starting some random Packer every week, sure, I would try to upgrade that to one of the absolute elites. But I wouldn't deal Eckler for, like, that's a situation where you're talking about somebody who's so good, so useful, so special that you don't want to trade him for like 3 guys who are pretty good and you can plug and play and can help get you through the bye. You want to trade him for a star. If I'm trading Eckler, I'm getting Stephon Diggs on the way back, right? I'm getting Tyreek on the way back. I'm not trading him for I'm not trading a 20 for 3 5s.
No, I'm with you there. You start looking around. Give me a sleeper running back or receiver this week off the waiver wire or trade options that could create a player. What are you looking at?
Yeah, well, so we just mentioned Kyron Williams, who is absolutely free right now. He's rostered in about 40% of Yahoo leagues. For people who aren't familiar with him, played at Notre Dame the past 3 seasons. Really good. He's not a burner. He's not some guy with crazy combine numbers, right? But just a very good football player. Super elusive at the college level. Caught 77 balls over the past 2 seasons. Great in pass protection. So he's just like a ready-made pro. He's been out with a high ankle sprain since opening week. They just designated him for return from IR. So he's probably going to come back, if not this week, then the week after. And again, they're auditioning random backs to take the lead in their backfield right now. So if the Rams don't make a move for a running back at the deadline, I think Williams is a super interesting name. Alexander Mattison is also out there in about 55% of Yahoo leagues right now. I kind of get it because the Vikings went into their bye and then, you get a backup running back, you dump him in the bye. It's fine. I get it. He needs to be scooped up because he's clearly in one of those situations. First of all, he's got a little standalone value. He scored a touchdown this past week. So that's good. They actually play him. And then secondarily, if anything happens to Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison is an absolute must-start fantasy back. So that's a guy who needs to get scooped up. One other name I'll toss out there is Rachaad White. And I feel like I talk about this on somebody's show basically every week. Nobody fights you for Rachaad White. He's seeing, he's obviously he's not forced his way into this job share or anything like that with Tampa Bay, but he's playing a fair amount. He usually his snaps each week are in the teens. Maybe he cracks 20. He's been good too. He's a great receiving prospect. He was probably my favorite receiving prospect among the running backs in this last year's draft class. And he's just one Leonard Fournette injury away from also being a must-start fantasy asset.
Jason is asking Keenan Allen for Melvin Gordon. My best 2 backs is Kenyon Drake.
I mean,
my best number 2 back is Kenyon Drake. I think that's.
I don't think there's any. I mean, Kenyon Drake is basically the same guy as Melvin Gordon for fantasy purposes right now, and Keenan Allen, when he's healthy, is just in a very different stratosphere. Keenan Allen, when he's healthy, is 8 to 10 catches a game on 12 to 14 targets. I mean, Keenan Allen has been a 100-yard receiver, I don't know, 4 of the last 5 years. Obviously, it's not going to happen for him this year. He's had the hamstring issue, but he's just coming off a bye. And then he's stepping right into a great matchup. I believe it's Atlanta this week. That's the most generous pass defense in terms of receiver production. And Mike Williams is going to be out for 4 weeks with the high ankle issue. So Keenan Allen is, as soon as Keenan Allen is healthy, and we think he's healthy right now, he's set to blow up. And Melvin Gordon is just trying to cling to a role in Denver's backfield. Denver going into a bye, Latavius Murray just out touched him. I would probably trade 3 Melvin Gordons for Keenan Allen right now.
All right, 6 teams are off. There are some injuries. There are some concerns and inconsistencies at the quarterback position. So waiver wire quarterbacks, Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, Marcus Mariota, PJ
right
Walker,
there for you. Got him right there
Henneke,
for you.
Malik Willis. What was that?
I got the Justin Fields shirt on right now, Big O.
There you go.
There's one
Malik
very
Willis
clear.
out of those 6.
No, there's one very clear answer right now, and it's Justin Fields. It's obviously Justin Fields.
Against that Dolphin vaunted defense? Come on.
There isn't another show in the country calling it a vaunted defense. I'll tell you that. I hope that was said with irony. He's got rushing touchdowns in back-to-back weeks. He's on pace for 900 rushing yards this season. They are, it took them a while. They didn't do it right away, but a lot of design runs for Fields now. He's not a high volume passer. You're probably going to sack him 5 or 6 times, right? He actually leads the league in sacks despite I don't think he has a game this season with more than like 27 pass attempts, 28 pass
Typical of
attempts,
running
something like that.
quarterbacks. Running
And
quarterbacks get sacked a lot. It just
it
happens.
it is an absolutely terrible pass blocking line. That is actually the major issue here. And Fields, of course, is somebody who's looking deep downfield and he's extending plays and all that. So you're quite right that he extends plays to the point that he gets sacked. But there have also probably been a dozen situations this year in which the line caves immediately at the snap and he is engulfed immediately. And there's not a quarterback in the league who wouldn't have been sacked in those situations.
We've been there. We've been there.
Oh, absolutely. This was the Miami
there.
situation last year. You're totally right. You're quite right. It's just the rushing upside with Fields right now is like you're just expecting 60 rushing yards per week, and it's really tough to screw up from a fantasy perspective when you have that kind of safety net. I mean, again, I don't know that he's going to be able to stay healthy all season because he's probably going to get sacked 70 times,
bro.
But
he is some bitch.
He is really tough. It's gonna take something extraordinary to actually knock him out. He is very tough. He's playing.
He took those 2 kidney shots against Clemson,
mm-hmm.
and he stayed in the game.
Stayed in that game, yeah.
That's all he threw. In fact, after one of the kidney shots, he came right back and threw a bomb for a touchdown. I was like, okay, this son of a bitch he's cut from another cloth. This guy is special.
He is tough. And again, he's on.
I don't know if he'll become a great quarterback, but I know this: he's not going to be afraid of anything. And he is going to be tough as nails. That's one thing.
I don't know that he's going to be a great quarterback either, but look at that draft class, and it had Trevor Lawrence in it, and look at Zach Wilson, and look at what is Trey Lance right now. You can't tell me that Justin Fields isn't playing as well or better than anybody in that draft class, which again is not a very high bar. But he doesn't have any receivers. He's got Darnell Mooney, which fine, but that I think on a good team, certainly on the Dolphins, Darnell Mooney would be like your third receiving option, right? He would be most teams' second or third receiving option.
Yeah, but the Bears only specialize in tight ends, right? That's what they do. They draft.
Yeah, exactly. The older the better. Yeah, give us your broken and used tight ends. We'll repurpose them.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. All right, so break it down. Bengals-Browns tonight, Monday Night Football. What do we got fantasy options going into tonight?
Probably the most interesting detail tonight is obviously that Jamar Chase is going to be sidelined for, we think, is 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe they didn't put him on IR, which is a generally good sign. It tells you that there's some optimism that maybe he makes it back within 4 weeks. But that bodes really well for T. Higgins and for Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's been great. Tyler Boyd's caught like last 2 games. He's been targeted 15 times, caught 14 balls. He's got a couple of 100-yard efforts on the season. Joe Burrow playing out of his mind right now. A couple of, I think, back-to-back coming into this week, back-to-back QB1 efforts. So Burrow's been fantastic. Chase, losing Chase, a big deal, but they should overwhelm Cleveland because Cleveland's got a lot of injuries on defense right now, not entirely healthy. You're starting Nick Chubb and Amari Cooper and probably no one else on the Cleveland side. I should probably also mention Harrison Bryant for Cleveland. He would be a desperation starter at tight end because David Njoku is going to be out for a few weeks. And Njoku's been averaging 7+ targets per game, and it basically emerged as the tight end 3, tight end 4 on the season. So tough injury for them. So Harrison Bryant, a little bit interesting too.
All right, one more before I let you go. Razzle Dazzle Crypto, Hines or AJ Dillon next week?
Yeah, it's got to be AJ Dillon. This is really rough though. These are not stellar options, and I have been a little bit shaken with AJ Dillon because I think he's a very good player. It is unfortunate that he's kind of buried a little bit behind Aaron Jones. He's real good though. He can catch the ball.
Razzle Dazzle Crypto. Andy's telling you have meme coins.
Players. This is another.
This is one meme coins, not real. It's not. You're not deciding between Cardano and Ethereum or Polkadot. You're looking at Loki and some kind of Shiba Inu puppy or something. So
this is definitely one of those situations where
Andy's telling you got some crappy crypto coins right now you're picking from. That's all.
If I could scoop Kenyon Drake off waivers, I would probably play him over either of these guys.
How about that? There you go. Let me. Is there any other free agent running back options you would throw out there outside of Kenyon Drake?
Drake is the big one. Again, we talked about Kyron Williams. We mentioned Alexander Madison. Isaiah Pacheco is going to be coming back from bye. That's a really messy 3-man committee right now. But if anything happens to either McKinnon or CEH or Pacheco, like the other two guys are going to thrive. So Pacheco has gotten pretty interesting lately. I will also say,
Latavius Murray?
Latavius is going into a bye, which is the problem, right? But he's kind of surged past Melvin a little bit. And the other name that I thought was a little bit interesting last night, not that you can start him with confidence, but the Buffalo Bills were playing James Cook pretty late in that game. And James Cook had like 6 touches, 76 yards, not playing a ton, but he was playing at the right times. And so I think he's coming on a little bit. So as a second half of the season flyer, I think Cook is pretty interesting as well.
Chuba Hubbard?
Yeah, missed this past game with an injury, but I would expect him back fairly soon. He was kind of downplaying the ankle thing a week ago after it happened, so I don't think he's going to be out for a long time.
All right, follow him on Twitter at Andy Behrens. And Andy, what are you doing at Yahoo throughout the week to keep everybody informed?
Yeah, check out the Yahoo Fantasy Football Forecast. It is our pod. Going to be recording today. We do every Monday. We do like a big look at fantasy pickups for the week. So please check that out wherever podcasts are sold.
You're going to do something extra tomorrow after the deadline?
We're probably going to have to. I always hope for a noisy deadline, and oftentimes it isn't. Right? So
it's already made a lot of noise. It's already made. What do we have? 5 or 6 trades already?
Yeah. So we'll see if the deadline is as spicy as the run up to the dedeadline has actually been.
It's been a really active trade season so far, NFL wise. This is super active. I think there's going to be a couple more. I believe there'll be at least 4 more trades by tomorrow. How about that?
At a minimum, it sounded like the Rams were also in on McCaffrey, and if they were in on McCaffrey, then they're going to be in on almost any running back who's available.
Oh, now it's the Cleveland kid that is up. That apparently the Jets and the Dolphins are interested. The Rams should be also interested. So we shall find out. Follow him on Twitter at Andy Behrens and catch his exceptional work there at Yahoo. Andy, as always, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
Thanks, brother. Good luck, everyone.
You got it. There you go. The great Andy Behrens. And don't forget, today's NFL. We got NFL Monday Night Football. So Sports Girls got 7 great locations, $1.50 Bud Light drafts and bottles during NCAA and NFL games. Today is Monday. The $7 single smash burger is out there. And on Mondays, the Kendall location has the milkshakes going on all day with the rock and roll music playing all night long. Tomorrow, they'll have the $2 tacos. You can choose from chicken, beef, or fish. And the hot sauces. They're so famous for their hot sauces. Now you can actually take them home with you. So smart that they bottle these things up because their sauces are out of this world. Buffalo sauce, the Miami Heat, the blackberry, the barbecue, the Dolly. They've got all those sauces at the 7 great locations. Number 8 is coming in Doral. Sports Grill, baby. Enjoy it out there. We love Sports Grill, and that is your Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone.